Facebook Live. This is not my forte, the Facebook Live arena, so if I ramble on or do something crazy, then just ignore it. I'm going to try to get to where I can see the comments because I'm on my iPad right now and I can't always see the comments. So I'm going to see if I can pull myself up on the computer and make that work. But I'm not seeing that I'm on Facebook Live right now. So give it just a second to load up and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Okay, where is it? Okay, well, we'll just go on. So hopefully I'm on live. If there's anybody on there, just say hey so I know that you can see me because I'm usually a Periscope person and I'm not a Facebook Live person. And this is not looking like I'm actually on the thing. So, okay, so tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Deshelle. I'm a homeschool mom of 3. My oldest is a senior in high school and he is actually doing dual enrollment in community college, so he's not really homeschooling very much with us. And my younger 2 one is in middle school and one is in elementary school, so I kind of have them in every level, except for the toddler and babies. And you know, guys, I feel for you if you got that while you're trying to homeschool, because we babysat a toddler one time during school, and yeah, that didn't go over so well. So yeah, anyway. So that's what we kind of got going on. Oh, there I am. Okay, good. I'm going to pull this up so I can see the comments. Yay! Okay, hey everybody. I cannot see them for whatever reason on the iPad, so I'm just going to look at both screens so I can see any comments out there. So I am excited to be here with Anna and her celebration. Kind of oddly enough, yesterday as I was typing up the post to go along with this, WordPress told me that I was having a celebration today with them too. So apparently it's my birthday. So Hide the Chocolate's birthday was yesterday too. So a little fun fact, I didn't realize that Anna and I were right there. But this shows how much I love Anna, because this is totally out of my wheelhouse to be doing something live like this. I even got up on a Saturday morning. I fixed my hair. I put on makeup. I put on a shirt. Let's not get crazy. I still have on yoga pants and slippers. You can't see those. This just shows my love for her. Thanks, Anna, for inviting me. Okay, so here is my info. And look at me. Aren't y'all impressed? I figured out on Word how to write things backwards so that when you're on Facebook Live, you can see it the right way. So I'm at hidethechocolate.com. And today I'm going to be talking about the Brave Writer lifestyle. Hey, everybody. I'm catching the comments kind of sort of some, so if I don't catch them all, I will get to them later. I promise. I'm trying to get over there to see them. Okay, I'm just going to mess up the thing. Okay, so I'm talking about the Brave Writer lifestyle. So if you don't know about the Brave Writer lifestyle, it is a program that is, the BraveWriter.com is a language arts program that was founded by the lovely and wonderful Julie Bogart. If you have not heard of Julie Bogart, get on immediately and research her and find her. She is great. She's fantastic. So she came up with this language arts program that was designed around what she did in her own home. But it became more than a language arts program. It became a lifestyle. So what I'm going to talk about today is kind of that lifestyle. So to give you a little history, when I started homeschooling, I was a former high school teacher, taught math in high school. And so that is something that when you go from that arena to homeschooling, you drag a lot of that with you. And that's what I did. I dragged a lot of it with me. And I expected all these great things. I wanted to do all these wonderful plans. I also wanted to have all these fun field trips. I wanted to have all this connection. I wanted to spend time with my kids. It was great. The plan was wonderful. I got online. I did this wonderful plan. It was beautiful. It was typed. It was on this great spreadsheet. And it was never going to fail except when it did. So immediately, I say immediately, maybe about 9 weeks in, I decided I could not do this anymore. So I started throwing things out and decided I had to do something that was more for my family. Now here's the thing, that's not necessarily what's for your family. And oddly enough, what's best for my family takes different roles because I have one kid who loves to do something one way and one kid who does something another way. And then I got another kid who's really not even homeschooling with us anymore because he's doing his own thing. So what happened was that year I had a daughter who was just excited to be doing school. And so she was all into the workbooks and having fun with that. And she just, whatever I told her she was great with. Then I had the child who had been in private school. And she was stressed out, flipping out, and anything I said, she was crying. She was miserable. She was just having a hard time. And she was melting down, and I was melting down. We're all melting down, and it was bad. And then I had the other kid who was in high school, who had been in school his whole life and did not see any point in us doing this homeschool thing. And his father said, if you don't put him back into school, you're going to kill each other. And obviously we might have if we hadn't done that. He's doing his own thing now, so it's a little bit easier. Yeah, the background in teaching, Lena, doesn't really help that much. It can actually, it's harder to de-school teachers than it is to de-school kids, to be honest. Okay, so I went into this mode of I'm going to research it because that's what I do. I research. I try to figure out what I'm going to plan. And so I went into research mode and said, we got to come up with a new plan. And I accidentally came upon Julie Bogart in a poetry tea time discussion. And I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. I could do that. We could totally pull out the china and we could do poetry tea time and maybe that'd be fun. And, you know, all this great stuff. We're going to do this. This is going to be fun. So when I actually went into looking at her, I realized, oh, she's a language arts. Well, the grammar thing was not going well. I mean, it was just not going well. There was lots of meltdowns over that, not to mention the math. The math's a whole other subject. And I'm a math teacher, so that's really bad. So I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is a whole lifestyle of things. So we started adding little bits. Now, what I'm going to say to you is there's a lot to this lifestyle. But two things. One, if you're Charlotte Mason, you already do most of it anyway. So don't worry about that. And two, don't try to do it all. You'll kill yourself. Just try to pull in parts that you like. Parts that work. Parts that work for this kid, maybe not this kid. Just do what you think is best. Okay. So, I lost my notes. Oh. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is implementing, look at that, implementing the arrow and the partnership writing. Because the biggest question I have from people is they say, well, how do you do this? Because it's kind of confusing, because it's not normal. It's not a laid out book that says, teacher, you take this instruction and you do this, and A, B, C, D. It's more for you to take on and do what you want the best way you can in your family. And for, like I said, for my kids, doing it different ways is actually very helpful. But there are some parts that she gives you some structure to help you. So the first thing I want to show you is the Writer's Jungle. Now, I cannot redo my entire Writer's Jungle to make it where it's lovely and the right way for you. So I apologize that you're looking at this backwards. But it says a Survivor's Guide of Writing with Kids. And it's pretty thick. And I actually ordered mine printed, but you can get it digital. I think it's a little cheaper. And it has basically everything you need to know about the Brave Brother lifestyle in there. Pretty thick. But I'm going to tell you a little hint here. Julie tells you all of this. It's all in her Periscopes, her Facebook Lives, YouTube, all that information. If you want to just go read it, look at it, it's there. So that's the Bible. It kind of tells you like about the things that I'm going to talk to you about. So the arrow. So here's how this works in our house. I'm losing my stuff. So, okay. So first, read-alouds are part of it. Now, we have read-alouds that go with our history and go with everything else we're doing, like maybe math or art or whatever. We have lots of read-alouds. Now, we just finished some ancient Greek, some ancient Egypt, so we've got some of those things going on. We've got an art book, a music book about Beethoven. We are reading Elijah Buxton because it's Black History Month. So just any of that part of that, if you're Charlotte Mason, you already do that. That's read-alouds. Okay, but part of it is the arrows. Now, the arrows are the grammar and spelling that go along with the literature. So, for example, I have a daughter who just finished reading The Prairie Thief. So, well, actually, let me do the other daughter who's doing Cricket in Times Square because I have her stuff sitting here. So she's doing Cricket in Times Square, and it's actually a quiver of arrows, which is slightly younger in age. So arrow may be like 4th through 6th grade, kind of like late elementary, and the quiver might be like early elementary when they're just reading pretty good and on their own, or you can read it aloud. Okay, so what you would get if you ordered an arrow is this, okay? And you would get, this thing that says Cricket in Times Square, and then you would get like copy work. And she's written all over her copy work. And then you would get instructions to the copy work. So this is the part that mom reads. It's like, okay, this is why they picked this passage. Here's what you should note about it. Here's what you should teach about it. All these different things. It's all right there for you. So how this looks in our house is on the first of the week or whatever, we start reading our book. So we read a book per month that's on this arrow. Now we read other books, but this on this arrow. And so I will hand them this. So I get out the copy work, and I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is just one of those little frames that you get at Walmart, you know, cheap plastic one. And you put, and I just put the copy work in there. Now you don't have to do this. This is just what I chose to do. And they sit there and they will copy this. We will read over this. This is her copy work for next week. We will read over this copy work. We will talk about, like, for example, why this word is capitalized, the punctuation in here. We'll talk about some of the words and the spelling that might be a little more difficult. And then I'll go through the arrow and it'll talk to me about, well, what is the grammar that we're going to study this week on this? What does they want us to know? And then by the end of the week, and I do this with both girls separately because they have different books. So one of them has a quiver and one has an arrow. And then at the end of the week, we'll do dictation. Now, for the older, it's just I read the copy work and she copies it. And she has to get the punctuation and everything correct. And, you know, she's looked at it all week. She's been reading the book, so it's not really a problem for her. The younger, though, has dictation looks like this. It's called French dictation. And so where it's like the copy work, but it has blanks in it. So here there was a blank for the quotation, and there's a blank for the punctuation, a blank for the word. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is backwards. And she loves to give herself A pluses, so she gave herself A plus. But one of the things I do is I let them grade themselves, because I think it's more important for them to actually go through and see what they might have gotten wrong than it is for me to tell them. So they get their little pencil, and she chose a pink one. The other one always hers blue, always pink and blue. And like, here's where she messed up. This was, she put a comma. She knew there was a pause there, but actually it's supposed to be an M dash. And so that was kind of a new thing for her. So I'm not really surprised that she missed it, because she's young and that's the first time she'd ever heard of M dash. So that's kind of how the arrow looks in our week. Now, at the end of the week, or the end of the month, so we're at this point. We got the read alouds, the copy work, the dictation. Now we're at the literary elements. And by the way, guys, I don't know why, but I can't see like any comments. So sorry if you're talking. I'll just go back and answer you. I saw them in the beginning and then they just stopped. Okay, so now we're at literary elements. So in the back of our arrow, we're going to have one or two things that Julie puts in there. Either it's going to be a literary element, or it's going to be a writing project. So this one, the literary element, is rhyme, and it's going to have actually both, a writing project too, because the writing activity is going to be limericks. So they're going to talk about rhymes and limericks, and then we're going to actually do it. And we'll probably put this into our book club. Okay, and I'll explain book clubs in a minute, so because that one's really asked a lot. Okay, so then we also have writing projects. So one of the things that we do is called partnership writing. Now there are multiple different levels. There's Jot It Down, which is the youngest, which is basically where you're doing projects, writing projects, and the kids are telling you and you're writing it all down. This is great for really honestly any age. If you've got an age that is young and has a hard time writing, that's great. But if you have somebody who's just refusing to write, that would be working too. I don't care how old they are. We do partnership writing because my girls don't want me to write for them. They want to do it themselves. So it's basically we do projects and then they write about them. Now here's the thing. I have a reluctant writer, a very reluctant writer. I mean, she throws a hissy fit about writing. She says, I hate to write, but she doesn't. She just says it. So if I say there's a writing project or you have to write, there's going to be drama. There's going to be meltdowns. There's going to be on the floor drama. So what we do is with the writing project that the partnership writing, which I should have brought that in here. Sorry, oops. The project the partnership project has projects. So there's generally about 4 per month per project. So you kind of spread them out for the month. Sometimes I combine them more if they're something I can do that with. Like this month we did homonyms, and it was 1 book. And so we wrote a homonym on one side of the notebook and on the other side, and then they drew pictures to show how they were different. For example, she had sweet and sweet. So under the SWEET, she had a cupcake that she was drawing, and that's on my Instagram if you look there. And then on the other side, she had sweet and had a picture of a hotel. So this kind of thing. Or we did a project with decoding, and so we had all these different codes and ciphers, and that was kind of cool because we've been to Colonial Williamsburg and gotten one of those little things where you can code things. So they were sending code messages to their cousins in another state, and it was pretty funny. Text messaging, it was getting hysterical. The adults were the worst of it. So those are different projects, and she doesn't realize they're writing, so she doesn't have a problem with them, and she'll just write and write and write, no big deal. But because it's a project, it's okay. Anyway, she takes after her father. Another thing we do is free writing. So free writing is where you sit down. You have 2 options. You can just write about anything, but usually it's good to give them a topic. And there's some rules to it. One rule is you have to keep moving your pencil for the entire time. So if you want to start, you might start with a 3-minute timer. Then move up to 5 minutes. Then move up to 10 minutes. And then the other thing is you can write anything you want. So if I say the topic is how to build a snowman, you can write, I hate this topic. I don't want to write about this. I hate snowman. I don't care. This is your choice to write any way you want to. So the kids so we start with that. The other rules, there's some other rules. 1, parents, you cannot mark this up. This is not your writing. This is their writing. Now feel free to write while they're writing. Okay, you got 5 minutes there. You're on your timer, sitting there doing nothing. Maybe check your Instagram, I don't know. Or write something about the topic. But you cannot start putting red marks and saying punctuation and spelling and all this stuff. You have to leave it alone. This isn't that time. This isn't the grammar time. So my kids will do this. Here's what always happens. The 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute timer goes up. They're still writing. They're still writing, even though they refuse to. And almost never has she written, I hate this topic. Now, she's thought it and said she was going to do it, but she never actually did it. The little one just does whatever. She's all excited. She'll do anything. You know, she's the happy pleaser baby child. She should be the middle child, but she's not. Okay, so we do this free writing, and then they read it to me. Now, I know you can take it, and you can talk to them afterwards, but we don't. However, they don't have to read it to me. If they don't want to, if that's their private thing, they're totally welcome to keep that to themselves. That has happened on occasion. They write something, they're either not proud of it, or there's some topic that they don't want to talk to me about, and they just put it away, and that's fine. And I do not look at it if they ask me not to. I don't even try to sneak it to find out. But most of the time I will say they're proud of what they wrote about, and they just want to share it with me. So that works out pretty well. Okay. So moving on from free write, one of the other things is nature journaling. Now, if you followed me at all, you'll know that I'm not a big nature lover, especially when nature comes in my house. So we don't really do a lot of the nature journaling per se of going out and writing about what we see. We do a lot of nature journaling with drawing. So we'll take our sketch pads out and we'll sit in nature and we'll draw something, we'll collect something. We may write something if we collect something and we want to go research it and see what it's about, and we'll stick it on there. But Mom is not into bugs and gross things. Yeah, this is the same mom who dissected owl pellets the other day. But anyway, yeah, I'm just not into live things. I guess I should say that. I'm not into live things. I can do dead, not live. So, not me. But we do go out and draw things, and that's okay. I can handle that. Okay, so another thing that is part of it, and again, if you're Charlotte Mason, you're already doing most of the stuff. Art and music appreciation and Shakespeare study, I'm kind of throwing those all in there together. And I'm not following my notes. Whew, I'm sorry if I'm just skipping all over and I'm talking fast because I talk fast sometimes. Art and music appreciation, you know, do that how you want to, because the way I look at it is we don't do it every day. Now, my kids do go out to an art class because I can't draw anything or paint anything, so I farm that out to the experts. So they go out once a week and go to an art class. But as far as appreciation, like reading books or listening to music, I usually do that around something we're going to do. So if we're going to go to a museum, or we're going to go to a play, or we're going to go to a ballet or an opera or something, I'm going to put that around that, and we're going to study about it. For example, we went to Italy, and so I knew we were going to hit a lot of museums. So that year we studied a lot of Renaissance painters, sculptors, even musicians. We went to see La Boheme by Puccini. Then when we went to Italy, we could go into places like we went to where Puccini was born. That was kind of cool. They knew. We went to Da Vinci's home. They knew. We go to the museums and they're pointing out, hey, Mom, we studied this guy, remember? And we know why he drew this, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I had children standing there in front of paintings forever because they were fascinated about it. They already knew it and they saw it in a book. So if you can take your kids to a museum, it doesn't have to be in Italy, obviously. But if you can take them to a museum or even an art gallery or take them to the opera or take them to the ballet, you may hate the opera, and that's okay, but you've been exposed to it. My kids were really surprised me because they actually love the opera. Their dad, not so much. He's pretty good about going to ballets and things, but the opera, it was in Italian, so, he wasn't good with the whole subtitle. The girls already knew the story, so they could follow along. Okay. Shakespeare study is a fun one. Every spring we do that. And it's kind of the reason why we do it at this time is because there's a lot of Shakespeare plays and things that are coming out around our area. So there's live theater. Also, we have a really cool place not far from here that the guy built an actual castle. And so he has a Renaissance fair there the entire month of May, which is really awesome. So we kind of pull all that stuff together and do that at the same time. Okay. So we'll just pick a couple of plays. Like last year we did Much Ado About Nothing, Midsummer Night's Dream. We've done Romeo and Juliet. Just things that I think that they're interested in. Although I would have probably not chosen Macbeth, but they kind of found out about it. And they absolutely love Macbeth. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, okay, creepy, gory. Oh. But they loved Macbeth. They were fascinated by it. So you never know what your kids are going to like. So that's Shakespeare study, and that's how we do it. Okay, games. It's February. If you're like me, homeschool is, I'm at the point of throwing everything away and giving them all a workbook and saying we're done for the year. But I'm not going to do that. Besides, the one in the middle would melt down and have a whole breakdown stroke if I did that. So we pull out the games. Last year we did this. We pulled out the games. We were doing it every day. Math games, language arts games, whatever games. I dare you to find a game that doesn't give the child some kind of educational value, because honestly, you can find some strategy that's going to give them some value, whatever game you play. So they had a lot of fun. We play family games, and I think a big reason why they love it is because of the interaction. Mom and dad are playing with them. Sometimes we can occasionally get Big Brother. A lot of times we can get the aunts and the uncles when they're in town to help play with us. So they like that because we're all together, big people and little people, and they're learning. So if you're in those doldrums of horror of homeschooling in the winter, that's a good thing to do is pull out the games. There's some great ones that I've got on my website. Lena at Homeschool Without Training Wheels. I hope I got that right, Lena. She's on here right now. She has some great posts about that. So plug your little thing in there, Lena. Some other friends of mine have done that too. So games are great. So add those in. Okay, so the last one thing I'm going to talk about is party school. Okay, basically what this whole Brave Rider lifestyle boils down to is this. Add some pixie dust to your day, to your homeschool. You don't have to teach everything the way the book says. You can veer. You can make it your own. You can do whatever you want that makes it exciting for you and your kids. One of the things I do, but you may not do this, is party school. In my family, and I'm married into a family that does the same thing, we always say any excuse to party. So any excuse to get together and add food and fun to it, we're going to do it. So basically with us, any excuse to party in homeschool will do. So for example, we finished Ancient Egypt not too long ago. We went to find an Egyptian restaurant. We had to drive about an hour away to find one. We got all the Egyptian food we could find, pulled out the tablecloths, pulled out the good china, set up the tea, set up all the fun stuff, and then we had a little feast. So that's a party school. We've done things where we invited our friends over to make gingerbread houses. The girls had all this big party stuff and we decorated up. That's party school. We studied ancient Greece. We had another feast and we dressed up in our costumes. Party school. I take party school probably to an extreme, and you don't have to do that. So this is my thing. You know, there are lots of things that I don't do well. I don't do Latin as well. I don't do all these other topics, but I can do party school. It's my thing. So we've added party school in all aspects. One of the things is poetry tea time, which we love poetry tea time. Now you may say, my kids don't like poetry, and they certainly don't like tea. I dare you to try it. Because here's the thing. We started doing poetry tea time, and we enjoyed it just at the house, pulling out the fine china. The girls like to get out the fine china. They like to read Shel Silverstein, whatever poetry they wanted to. But then we discovered something. When you invite other people into your poetry tea time, it becomes this massively fun, exciting thing to do. So we started by FaceTiming our cousins in South Carolina, and that was exciting. And we'd have Dr. Seuss tea time where we all dressed up like Dr. Seuss characters, and we had green eggs and ham. And then we decided, hey, let's go bigger, let's go broader. So we went to a tea house or tea room, and we got to put on our hats, and we got to drink out of the dainty china, and we discovered that we don't know how to make tea. So these people showed us how to make tea, and we discovered we like tea. So we started replacing the lemonade and the hot cocoa with tea. And I've actually become an avid tea drinker because of this. And I never would drink tea before. I mean, other than, you know, sweet tea. I live in the South. If you haven't noticed by my lovely accent, I live in the South, and we're big iced tea drinkers here. So anyway, we became tea drinkers because we learned how to actually make tea. And we got the proper teapots and all the serving things. And then we discovered, well, let's go even bigger because it's my rule, go big or go home. So we decided to invite all our homeschool friends. Okay, so not all of them came, but we have a large Facebook homeschool group. So we invited them to come and join us for poetry tea time. So we go to the local library so that I don't have to clean my house every month. And we meet there once a month and we have a theme, and I decorate up. And you'll maybe go a little crazy, but you can look at my Instagram account or the blog post that I've posted to see some of the stuff we've done. And like last month's was Valentine's, obviously themed. So the kids would bring in Valentine's poems. The kids are allowed to bring in anything they want. I usually encourage them with a theme. They don't have to. And they don't have to talk. They don't have to read. They can just sit and listen. They can just sit and eat snacks. I had one mom say she wasn't going to bring her daughter back unless she talked because all she did was eat snacks. I'm like, no, let her come back. She's at least hearing poetry. So we don't have any rules. This last time, we've been doing this for a while, and I've been adding the little things in, and I usually talk about a type of poem. But this last time, I had boys. They were sitting in the back. They were giving me the, my mother made me come again with my sisters to tea time, who actually came up and joined us because they wanted to share a poem. They wanted to do the free write that we did. And one of them actually did the, well, this is stupid, I hate this free writing thing. And that was okay. But then they got into it, and the kids begged me to do more free write, to add more free write into a poetry tea time. So I had moms come up to me afterwards to say, my kid doesn't write. What did you do? All I did was add some snacks and some decorations and make it look fancy. That's really all there is to it. So, going from there, poetry tea time, which I love poetry tea time, is book club. Again, and I'm so sorry I can't answer your questions because I know I had several people asking me about book club, so I will promise I will go back and answer all the questions or try to get you to go to certain spots that will help you. Okay, so book clubs. When we started all this we started our arrows and our different books, I was inspired by a friend, Mary Wilson, who writes at not before 7. She's great. She has fabulous book clubs. And so I totally stole her ideas and went from there, and we started doing book clubs. So everybody asks, how do you start a book club? I don't understand. It's really simple. So here's the steps. I'm going to give them to you. Number 1, decide who you're going to invite. So our first one was middle schoolers. And I have a daughter. That's what I have in middle school. So I chose to do middle school girls. And the reason why is because I don't know if you guys have the preteens, the drama. But if I stuck a boy in that book club, no girl would talk, or they'd all gang up on him one and the boy wouldn't talk. So either way, it was not going to work. So we just have all girls in that group. So So I sent out a message on Facebook. That's how I communicate. You could do other ways. And we set up a group. Anybody who wants to join could join. So we had about, I don't know, 10 to 15 people who acknowledged they might want to. And I think we're probably good about 10 people right now. Some come and some don't. So that was the rule. You don't have to come every month. If you got a month that's crazy, then don't. Don't try to put book club into it. Another rule is you don't have to use the arrows. The book list that we use is the Arrow book list because I've looked over them. They're all great books. Julie picks out fantastic books. We don't use the Arrow subscription for the year. We do the single guides because we just want to pick and choose from there. And I wanted the parents to have plenty of options. So I just let them choose whatever. And then I put out a calendar. Okay, these are the dates we're going to meet. And I put it out at the beginning of the year so everybody knows. And I say, okay, moms, I'm going to be hosting the first one, and I'll host as many as I need to keep the book club going. You decide if you want to host. If you do, pick a book, pick a month, let me know. Do you want to use my house? Okay, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. I've had plenty of moms use the library because they didn't want to go to their house. We've gone to different places. Our Prairie Thief, which was yesterday, we did at my parents' cabin, so you can do whatever you want. We, oh gosh, there's 100 comments and I can only see 5. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so anyway, back to book club. So you just pick who you want and you give them these options and then you go from there. Now, how do I pull off book club? Wait, let me start back one more thing. The Quiver book club that I have for my younger, because she was depressed because she spent all year watching her sister have cool book clubs, is a younger group, and Quiver is probably like the 1st to 3rd grades where they're just learning to read and or they're reading with their parents. And you can read aloud the Arrow books. You don't have to let your kids read them on. My kids choose. They can either read aloud with me or they can do their own thing. I let them decide. So it just depends on what. Unless, of course, I'm doing the book club. And then I need to know what the book's about if I haven't read it. Okay, so back to that. Quiver book club is boys and girls. They're younger and we have more boys in our homeschool group, sorry, instead of girls. And so it's just fun. And those girls, they don't care. They're rough and tumble and they don't care what a boy thinks about them. So it all works out. And so we use those Quiver books, and we actually do go with a subscription on that because there's only so many. Same thing though, the moms choose and they do the book club if they want. If they don't have to. I'll do them. Okay, so then we go to book club. Now what book club is basically this. The kids all meet at a certain place. Let me just walk you through yesterday's. Yesterday's is Prairie Thief, and if you want to check it out, it's on Periscope. I'm at, Deshelle_Hide the Chalk, I believe. Or I think I actually posted on my Facebook page, Hide the Chocolate. So either ones, you can see what we did yesterday. So the kids all met. They met at my parents' cabin. Now this was about a book that was written in Laura Ingalls Wilder's time. So we chose the cabin because we thought it had more antiques and more feel like that. And the kids all met. They sat around the table and they drank tea because there's a big part about them sipping tea. And then we talked about the book. I just started with things like, what did you like about it? What did you hate about it? And let me tell you, these kids will tell you. If they like the book, they'll tell you. If they hated the book, they'll tell you. And here's the great thing. They don't have to like it. I'm totally cool with that. There are different genres. There are different authors. There are different time periods. There are all these different things in there. They may not like it. I don't like every genre. So if they say that, that's fine. And I tell them, that's fine. You don't have to like it. There are books that we've read that I didn't care for all that much. I won't say them out loud because, Anyway, so we met, we talked about the book, then we went to the Arrow. Now in the Arrow, we talked about similes. So we pulled out the simile part and I talked about what similes are, went through a big description of that, and then we wrote similes. I gave them the plot, I gave them the setting, I gave them the character, and they would write a simile. This is all from the Arrow. Julie writes all this stuff in there. So I didn't have to come up with any of this on my own. I mean, I could have, and Julie says that. You can go through and pull out your own copy work from your own literature. You can pull out your own dictation. You can pull out your own literary elements and your own grammar. Except, who's got time for that? She's already done it. I'll pay for it. So that's what I do. So we wrote similes. And then we had an activity. So usually there's a book talk, and then we have an activity. So for this activity, the brownies, or what we would call gnomes here, stole things. So I had things hidden all over the yard. They had to go collect and find. So they went running out into the yard. Now for other book clubs, we've done other things. For example, when we did the Tell a Desborough, There's a big thing about soup is illegal, so we learned how to make soup. The kids were peeling and cutting and chopping and making vegetable soup at that time. Secret garden, we made our own secret gardens and terrariums. Like I mentioned earlier, doing Poppy, which is about a little mouse and her fight against the mean owl that's trying to eat her. We actually dissected owl pellets and pulled them apart and found out what animal that owl had eaten, which is really kind of gross. But that's it. That's about as far as the gross factor I'm going to go with science. Luckily, I'm not married a science person. Okay, so this one, they went out and they ran around and they found the things that were laying out there. When they came back in, I had potato soup, which was one of the things in the book that they talk about. They had to put this big drape above the ceiling so that the spiders wouldn't fall into the soup. So I had potato soup out in everybody's place, and I had plastic spiders sitting in them. So when they came to sit down, they had to dig out their spider to eat their soup. After that, we had brownies in the shape of little gnome heads, which, by the way, little gnome heads are exactly the same as little ice cream scoops if you flip them around. Found that out by a local party novelty store. So we had little gnome heads and in brownies, so they had to eat their brownies. And then I gave them little gnomes to take home. And then I just let them play outside, because to me, the biggest part of book club is my daughters getting to play with their friends, spend time with their friends. You know, I know we just talked about socialization in the last talk. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. But that, you know, socialization can be all sorts of different things. In book club, we're having an educational experience that's fun. Education doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be at your desk writing. I mean, there is a part of that where you have to do that, but it can be fun. So that's the great thing about book club, is you're adding all these aspects of fun, literature, grammar, and friends and socialization all together. So that's what we did the rest of the time. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I had to say. And again, I would love to answer questions. I don't know why it will not show me the comments, but I will definitely go back and look at them. Sorry, guys. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Okay, okay. We'll just go back and look at them later. Sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to say the biggest thing about the Brave Writer Lifestyle is it's a reassurance. It's so that you don't freak out. You're going to do things that are going to be not perfect. You're going to mess up sometimes, and it's okay. And you're going to follow this curriculum that you go back later and go, that was horrible, and it's okay. They're all going to survive. The great thing about the Brave Writer Lifestyle is that you're picking and choosing what you think is going to be best, but at the end of the day, it's okay. They're not going to fail miserably. They're not going to be living with you in their 30s and working at McDonald's. It'll be all right. Well, they may, but, you know, I have one of those. Anyway, it's okay. And that's the thing I like about Julie, is she reassures you that you don't have to do everything you read. You don't have to do everything in that curriculum. You don't have to do everything that every blogger, including Hide the Chocolate, tells you to do. You don't. You pick what's good for you, works for you, and you move on. And here's the thing. I said I'm big at party school, and I am, and I love it. And I can bake. I can cook, I can do all those things. I don't. When I do party school, I have decided that there are things in my life that I don't even waste my time on. I literally buy all the food for party school. Almost never make it, except I did bake the brownies. But, because brownies have to be made. You figure out what is good for you and what isn't, and then you put it together, and you make your life simple, and you just have fun. And you teach your kids to adding a little pixie dust. And when you teach your kids, you're adding a little pixie dust, they're going to remember it. So maybe they won't remember all the things that you studied about the pharaohs and everything in ancient Egypt. But you know what they're going to remember? That they ate grape leaves that had rice wrapped in them. They're going to remember that they ate chickpeas, that they ate baklava, and they loved it. They didn't like the rest of it, but they liked baklava. So they're going to remember those things. And that's what's important, is just having a relaxed atmosphere, having some joy, and putting it back in your homeschool, because it's not worth it to be miserable. Okay, that's really all I have to say, and I really wish that I could read all your comments, because they keep coming and going, but like I said, I will check back, and you guys have a great day. See ya!